Hello everyone, I'm Maria and this is probably the first video I'll ever do in English. I don't think I've done anything else before. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that I just had my Princeton interview and a bit of background about me. I'm a Romanian who's currently studying for high school in Switzerland in Neuchâtel, and I'm currently in Bern. And my Princeton interviewer is currently working and living in Basel, so we met we found a middle ground between Neuchâtel and Bern, and I finished it, I think 20 minutes ago, and I want to capture my raw reaction because it was one of the best moments of my life. Even if I get in, if I don't get in, this was the most interesting interview I think I'll ever have. And also you get to visit Bern with me because I've never been to this city. I've moved to Neuchâtel 4 months ago and I've never had a chance to visit the city, so you get to see it with me. First of all, our meeting place was at the train station in Bern, which is a very big train station, and I got here 1 hour before because I never went to Bern before, so I didn't know where the meeting place was in the train station since it was huge. So I figured it out in 20 minutes. Then I went around the train station and I was at the meeting place 10 minutes before, and my interviewer also was early, so we just met. She told me that she was wearing a very red scarf, so I was able to pick her up out from the crowd of people, which there were a lot of people there. And then I just came to her and said, "Hi, are you X whatever the name?" And then we just started talking that she had projects, and I I was early because my school was, well, we started talking, having random conversations. I don't remember exactly what we were talking about. Then I was holding a book in my hand. I forgot to put it in my bag, and then we just started talking about a little bit about the book and what I like in reading. And this all happened on our way out of the train station. I didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know what the interview was like. I'm an international student. I've previously had interviews at UPenn and Washington University in St. Louis and Stanford. So, but all of those were online, so I've never had a physical interview. Also, English is my second language. Yeah, so even though I'm fluent, I still have little English problems. I don't know. So I didn't know where we were going or what we were supposed to do. I didn't know where the interview will be. I thought it was gonna be in a cafe or a Starbucks or something. No, apparently. Oh my god, why is there's a chest playing thing on the ground? Anyway, also I'm wearing this. I thought casual would do it. She took a photo of her outfit beforehand and sent me on WhatsApp. Also, the whole thing was the whole planning of the interview was on WhatsApp, and also we talked on the phone a little. So because she was older in age, she wasn't a recent graduate, so I think it was easier for her to connect with WhatsApp, and it was honestly more interesting and entertaining since on email you just send 2 emails and then the meeting is done. But on WhatsApp we talked about tea because I was sick and whatever beforehand, so we kind of, I don't know, tested the grounds before we actually met, so I knew a little bit about her and her personality before we actually met in person. About to get hit by a car, amazing. But if you know something about Switzerland, you should know that every car stops no matter where you are. So I'm not really that anxious about talking to you as I'm walking. In any case, we started talking about my activities, what I'm passionate about. I told her about my book. It was a really flowy conversation. She just asked me those 2 questions, I believe, and then she just followed up with things, but they came very fluidly, I would say. Like, nothing she asked me was out of the blue. Everything was like part of the conversation, and then she added things about Princeton that were similar to what I have experienced in my life, since again I moved from Romania to Switzerland, and in the past I've moved also, but like that's not important for this video. She just connected some of the things in my experiences that were not common, but like would also happen in Princeton, but at a higher level. We talked a lot about how my mind works, which is interesting because I haven't seen many like people talking about this in their interviews, but we literally analyzed, like we talked a lot about psychology, and she kind of asked me to self-analyze myself. I don't know how to explain that, but it wasn't like full on. It was just, how does your brain work, or like, but it wasn't that direct. So we just started like talking about what I find interesting and what specific patterns interest me, and how towards what am I curious, and things like that. She also asked me at which schools I'm applying, like except for Princeton, and I told her my top choices. I didn't really say that Princeton was my like one and only school, because I didn't really want to give out that impression. More, I talked about what I want to get from a university, and that I understand that I would thrive in any university, but I want one that would give me the most interesting experiences. And then she started like pretty much selling Princeton to me. Like, she would just randomly tell her Princeton experiences, like with professors, like small anecdotes that were very interesting and very inspirational. We then started talking about some careers that would interest me, and some people she met at Princeton that like traveled the world but doing like something analytical and creative. Basically, she took like all of the things I told her about myself, and we like talked about myself, and then she found me some career paths that she like pretty much sold to me, which was very interesting because some of them I've never seen or heard about ever in my life, and they were very accurate, which pretty much told me, I mean, accurate to my desire. I don't know what that is, but that's beautiful. But I think it's also a central thing. I'm going in the opposite direction. There's like a castle in front of me. I don't know what it is. We shall see. So we got to a hotel. She was she already like looked it up, I think. She knew where we were going, and we went to like hotel restaurant, something like that, a 5-star hotel restaurant. We got into a really quiet space, and then I ordered a hot chocolate, and I don't know what she ordered. Anyway, she paid for them both. Then the actual interview started, and well, I think it started beforehand because the whole thing was a conversation, even the interview itself. We were supposed to talk for like 1 hour, but we talked for like 2 hours and a half in total, I think. And initially she just asked me what do you want to tell me that is not on your application. She like made an introduction, told me an introduction about how she's not on the committee, and she doesn't know anything about my application. Like, she knew nothing. She only knew where I lived and that I had a Romanian phone number, so she knew I was from Romania originally, but I moved here. I think actually the first question, which happened like as we were getting ourselves sat at the table, she asked me like, why do I have a Romanian phone number and when did I move to Switzerland, and then I talked to her about it because she moved to Switzerland also, and then we started talking about language learning. I learned French and she learned German in this move, so it was like a thing that we had in common. Then she asked me about one thing that it's not mentioned in my application, that Princeton, or like I believe would add a significant impact, and I told her about something personal in my childhood and in the way I grew up in, which is a little different than how most people grew up. And then we started talking about languages, and I don't know, she just followed up with questions about that specific thing in my childhood. Then I think she asked me something about my interests, like literally what are my academic interests and what do I want to study. And I told her I want to study art, but I want to do it in a liberal college so I can study everything else and art, which is pretty much how I understood that she understood me, which is a very good sign, especially because she gave me some career paths that if I knew about them, there would have been like what I would have wanted to do for my career. So they were so accurate that I just knew she understood what I was saying and like would give a good review, even though these interviews don't really count as much towards the application, obviously, and I don't know if I'm gonna get in, but like it was like an amazing experience. And throughout the whole interview she gave me, I would say, advice, like life advice, without me actually asking. Like I would just tell her things about myself and then she would relate to them, or like would relate them to what Princeton students, like she would literally tell me, yes, that's like a typical type or trait of someone who would go to Princeton, and she would give me advice based on that, not necessarily like Princeton advice, but like life advice, like the career thing, but like also just life in general. Not. She also asked me at some point about my family, like we were just talking about, I think in the like psychological thing, team conversation, whatever. She asked me if I had sisters and if my sister did anything wow with her life, and she was like only 11, so yeah, and like what do my parents do and why whatever happened in my childhood. Pretty much the whole thing was a very fluid conversation. It didn't feel like an interview. It felt literally like I was going to therapy, but having in front of me a person that is like so successful in life and so inspirational that everything she said felt like gold. Like she at some point she gave me like the contact of an Imagineer that she met at Princeton. Anyway, the Imagineers are like the people who designs the roller coasters and stuff for the Disney World or like other parks and stuff like that. And not necessarily that, but like that was what this guy was doing. And she gave me his contact because she thought that would be the perfect job for me, which I also believe it is. Then came the part where I had to pose my own questions, and obviously I had some prepared, but like I also improvised because we talked so much about her experiences and stuff, so I kind of got to know her, so I just searched for more specific questions, not only the main ones that I had that everyone asks at this kind of interview. Overall, by the end of the interview, she gave me so much life advice, so much information about how to choose a career path, how to choose the people you will spend the rest of your life with, how to choose your hobbies, how to choose the places you should live in. Like, she literally gave me advice about everything. I feel like my life is so much clearer after 2 hours of talking with this person. She was the most amazing person I've met in my entire life. I think at the end of the interview we just talked about, I asked her like about a specific advice that she would give me if I would go to Princeton, if I would choose to go, or Princeton would choose me. And then we started a conversation about her answer, and then we realized that it was 5:52 and we were there from like 3. So she asked for the paycheck, and then she paid for it. She also bought for us some, I don't know how they're called, but there's some macarons that are specific to Zurich, I think, but I may be very wrong with that. And like, also at the beginning of the interview I asked for like a hot chocolate, but I had like multiple choices of hot chocolates, and like I chose the most interesting one just to show off that I've never drank anything like that before, and I just chose like a chocolate, the hot chocolate that had like whatever, something different in it, whatever. But I don't think that mattered in hindsight, but I don't think anything mattered, like, I think just my answers in the conversation, like the vibe of the conversation. I don't think anything else mattered, honestly, like now that I think back on it. But in the moment, I thought it was very important that I didn't choose a normal chocolate. The interview ended, we just set up, and she like paid for the whatever we had, and then we started talking about, I don't know, something really random. We saw on the street or something like that, until like back to the train station, and then at the train station we just looked for our train and stuff, and we just parted ways, and now it's down. So that was my Princeton interview. I'll probably do something like this with other interviews I had to, but this was like the most interesting one because it didn't feel like an interview. Like, she literally asked me 2 questions at the get-go, and then a whole conversation started, and it wasn't like she was forcing me to like show off and stuff. I didn't show off anything, I just showed her my personality. I didn't talk about much of my activities because those were already in my application. So I just talked about my life, like really quirky, weird things I'm passionate about, and like really niche things that couldn't get in my application because they were like not that important, but they were just interesting things to know and like to make conversation about. This was my Princeton interview. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. I try to be as like detailed as possible because that's the kind of video I would have wanted to watch before my interview, and I didn't really find anything like this. Well, I did, but like not as detailed. See you in another clip. Bye bye. I love you. Also tell me if you want more English videos, because from like until now I only talked about things in Romanian. So like obviously I wasn't gonna do a Princeton interview vlog like thing, whatever, in Romanian, because there are not really many people in Romania who apply to Princeton. But if you would want to like hear about other topics that aren't like specific to college applications in English, then comment down below, because I would actually love to do that. Anyway, kisses, bye bye.